Win the protagonist's sister at the beginning and be rewarded with Supreme Bone. Chapter 31. Yi Bufin, who was next to him, naturally didn't know that his sister had reached a special deal with Chase Lu for the sake of his own life. He still walked towards the martial arts arena with a high-spirited look and a stern look on his face. Not long after, both Yi Bufin and Lu Chen entered the martial arts arena. After entering the martial arts arena, the isolation circle around the martial arts arena slowly opened, isolating the entire martial arts arena and protecting many buildings outside the martial arts arena. Outside the martial arts arena, many Holy Land disciples gathered outside, looking expectantly at the battle that was about to break out in the martial arts arena. There are also some high-level Holy Land elders who are also paying attention to the upcoming battle intentionally or unintentionally. Lu Chen, the shame you gave me in the past will be repaid 1,000 times today. Go and die. After the two of them were in position, Yi Bufin's eyes were full of ruthlessness, and then he activated his spiritual power to the extreme, and the terrifying power poured out, attacking Yi Bufin not far away. Yi Bufin, who had activated all his secrets, was like an invincible god of war, with golden light flowing all over his body, and he immediately struck in front of Yi Bufin. Looking at Lu Chen, who seemed to have not yet reacted, Yi Bufin's eyes flashed with violence, he gathered all his strength and punched out hard. Boom! As a terrifying roar sounded, Yi Bufin's fist had already struck, and a sonic boom sounded in the surrounding space. The area where Lu Chen was quickly shattered, and countless ideas were floating around. Yi Bufin killed His Royal Highness the Holy Sun instantly. The ancient holy body is so terrifying that it really makes him. It's bad, it's bad. Yi Bufin was so arrogant to begin with, and now he has killed His Royal Highness the Holy Sun in an instant. In the future, he won't be able to be even more proud. Many disciples around the martial arts field were stunned for a moment when they saw the scene in the martial arts field. Apparently they did not expect this situation. No, His Royal Highness the Holy Sun is fine. Soon, some sharp-eyed people discovered the anomaly and blasted the area without leaving any trace of blood. Trash, it's really too slow. Even if I give you a chance, you'll be useless. On the martial arts field, Yi Bufin was still immersed in the joy of defeating Chase Lu, when a cold and indifferent voice sounded in his ears. Whoosh whoosh. Suddenly, the space in front of Yi Bufin suddenly became void, and Lu Chen, dressed in white robe, appeared in front of Yi Bufin. How is that possible? Seeing Lu Chen without any injuries, Yi Bufin's heart skipped a beat and his face became extremely ugly. He really couldn't understand that such a terrifying blow did not cause any harm to Lu Chen, which really shocked Yi Bufin. While Yi Bufin was stunned, Lu Chen was not idle and slapped him directly. Seeing Lu Chen's slap, Yi Bufin felt a burst of extreme fear in his heart, and quickly activated the spiritual power in his body to evacuate. However, there seemed to be some terrifying force around him that was suppressing Yi Bufin, making it difficult for him to move at all. Is the gap between us already so big? Yi Bufin is filled with despair. Crack. In the blink of an eye, Lu Chen's slap had already hit Yi Bufin's face. As a violent collision sounded, Lu Chen slapped Yi Bufin hard on the face. Yi Bufin's eyes widened, filled with anger, and he immediately fell into hell-like fear. Because a terrifying inspiration followed Lu Chen's palm and penetrated into Yi Bufin's body, destroying the meridians and all the foundation in Yi Bufin's body. However, at this time, a mysterious power suddenly emerged from Yi Bufin's ancient holy body, which resisted this terrifying idea and preserved Yi Bufin's meridians and heritage. No! Yi Bufin roared incompetently, and then was defeated by the terrifying power. His body flew out and hit the isolation circle around the martial arts field. Sure enough, the Son of Destiny is not so easy to destroy. Looking at Yi Bufin who had not destroyed the meridians, Chase Lu felt a pity in his heart. Although Lu Chen just slapped him lightly, Lu Chen used the power of Supreme Bone's Dao Mark, which is the power that can reverse the death of a saint. However, it failed to abolish Yi Bufin, which shows how terrible Yi Bufin's background is. However, I still have a backup plan. Lu Chen narrowed his eyes slightly, and an undetectable idea popped up from his fingertips, and quickly penetrated into Yi Bufin's body. I thought Yi Bufin was really going to gain momentum, but unexpectedly, it still didn't work and was easily suppressed. That's it. I knew how could Yi Bufan, a loser, be the opponent of His Highness the Holy Sun. It's boring, it's boring. One slap kills you instantly. The two sides are not on the same level at all. No, I have taken off my pants. Show me this. This is too fast. His Royal Highness the Holy Sun must be more powerful. Although Yi Bufan's talent is strong, compared with His Highness the Holy Sun, he is still far behind. After Yi Bufan was defeated, many disciples present spoke one after another, their eyes full of fanaticism. Many senior elders of the Holy Land also had surprised expressions on their faces. They thought that this would at least be a battle between dragons and tigers, but they didn't expect that Lu Chen ended the battle with just a slap in the face, which was a bit too boring. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the choice and obtaining the dual pupils. Do you want to fuse them now? Closing square bracket. At this time, a system notification sounded in Lu Chen's mind, indicating that Deluo dual pupils had arrived. Not to merge yet. Lu Chen did not choose to merge now is not the time to merge. Lu Chen, it's just a discussion between disciples. Is it necessary to be so harsh? Do you still have the friendship between the same disciples? Not far away, Qin Yuning looked at Yi Bufan who was about to be crippled, and looked at Lu Chen with cold eyes and asked. Lu Chen was undaunted and said calmly, fellow friendship. For this scumbag who deceived his master and destroyed his ancestors, it's a kindness of mine that I didn't kill him. You, Yi Bufan, are my disciples. You are so cruel. It seems that I will teach you a lesson on behalf of the Holy Master. Qin Yuning obviously would not listen to Lu Chen's words, so he immediately activated the power of the saint and rushed towards the martial arts field, wanting to teach Lu Chen a lesson. Boom. However, Zhang Yuchen, who was not far away, did not sit back and watch. She immediately flew in front of Qin Yuning and blocked his progress. It was Yi Bufan who overestimated his own abilities and wanted to challenge Chase Lu. Moreover, who knew that this Yi Bufan was so weak that he couldn't even bear a slap from Chase Lu. After confronting him, Zhang Yuchen said coldly. Looking at Zhang Yuchen who was protecting him in front of him, Lu Chen felt warm in his heart. Although he could solve the cause of his injury, he was still quite moved by being defended by such a beautiful and noble woman. That's right, it's obviously Yi Bufan who wants to humiliate himself. Who can pretend to be weird because he doesn't have the strength? HMPH, a guy like Yi Bufan needs to be taught a lesson. A guy who doesn't have a long memory dares to challenge His Royal Highness the Holy Sun at will. I spoke arrogantly and tried to challenge the authority of His Highness the Holy Sun. Now that I have failed, I will naturally have to pay the price. I can only say that if you do something wrong, you will not survive. At this time, the disciples around the martial arts arena also spoke up and stood on Lu Chen's side. Many senior officials in the Holy Land also have no good impressions of Yi Bufan because of Yi Bufan's act of deceiving his master and killing his ancestors. However, because of Qin Yuning's identity, he did not make any statement and just watched the scene in front of him quietly. You. Seeing that this ant-like disciple dared to shout so loudly in front of him, Qin Yuning's face suddenly became extremely ugly, and the grandeur in front of him was constantly trembling, creating ripples like ocean waves. The previous move was not wrong. Fortunately, Yi Bufan's reputation was ruined first, so that he had less constraints. Looking at Qin Yuning who was helpless, Lu Chen felt a little lucky in his heart. Now that the battle between the two is over, each peak can continue to select disciples. At this time, Li Daohong's voice came from a distance and rang in the ears of every disciple. Many elders and disciples heard Li Daohong's words and did not say anything more. Instead, they returned to Luo Xing Square and continued to choose the main peak that suited them. Humph, since senior brother has spoken, let's do this. Lu Chen, today's business is not over yet. Qin Yuning's eyes were cold and he said calmly. After saying that, Qin Yuning left the martial arts arena directly with Yi Lingxi and Yi Bufan, who was seriously injured and dying. Before Yi Lingxi left, she glanced at Lu Chen gratefully. Lu Chen noticed Yi Lingxi's gaze and secretly sent a message to Yi Lingxi, if you want to be grateful, come over as soon as possible tonight. Yi Lingxi's heart froze, biting her red lips and slowly walking towards Zixia Peak with a complex expression. Qin Yuning, do you really think that I can't handle you because you are a member of the Emperor clan? Just wait for me, and soon I will have you kneeling in front of me and give me asterisk 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 asterisk. Seeing the extremely cold Qin Yuning leaving, Lu Chen murmured in his heart, with a hint of violence flashing in his eyes. Master, you are so awesome. You defeated Yi Bufan with just one slap. You are so handsome. The quirky Chu Bingyan walked towards Lu Chen with a bound and a jump, and her silver-white horses followed the girl forward, jumping and jumping. You little girl, you have a very sweet mouth. Lu Chen looked at the little Lolita with twin tails who jumped to his side, couldn't help but rub Chu Bingyan's hair and said slowly. Master, don't touch my head casually, I won't grow taller. Chu Bingyan's face was slightly rosy and she said softly. Chu Bingyan said, and hugged Lu Chen's arm. The large-scale undulations gently impacted Lu Chen's arm, making Lu Chen feel every trace of strangeness. Lu Chen was slightly stunned when he looked at Chu Bingyan, who was petite, beautiful, pure, and turbulent. This reincarnation of Ice Ancestor is really powerful. It doesn't matter if you don't grow taller, that's good. Lu Chen said something strangely, and an idiom appeared in his mind unconsciously, true. Childlike face. Master, you bully others. I will ignore you. Chu Bingyan lowered her head in shame, but still hugged Lu Chen's arm tightly. Not far away, Zhang Yuchen and Yinger looked at Chu Bingyan, who was hugging Lu Chen tightly, with complicated expressions on their faces. Originally, they thought that this Chu Bingyan was a timid and innocent little loli. Now it seems, both of them were deceived by the innocent and innocent appearance. Ahem, Bingyan, Lu Chen is your master after all, you still have to be careful. After a long while, Zhang Yuchen finally couldn't bear it anymore and came to Lu Chen's side, pretending not to care. Ah, can't I even hug my master? Chu Bingyan looked innocent, blinked her big innocent eyes, and asked cutely. Looking at the seemingly innocent Chu Bingyan in front of her, Zhang Yuchen felt irritable for some reason. Who is my sister to master? Is my sister jealous? Chu Bingyan struck while the iron was hot and continued to ask ignorantly. What are you talking about? How could I be jealous? I'm not. Don't talk nonsense. I'm just warning you. I'm your master's friend and I don't want to see your master go astray. Zhang Yuchen bit her red lips and said quickly. Oh, I understand, sister, you are not jealous, I know it. Upon hearing this, Chu Bingyan let go of Lu Chen's arm and stood beside Lu Chen obediently, looking like a well-behaved and obedient person, without the quirky appearance just now. Seeing Chu Bingyan distance herself from Lu Chen, Zhang Yuchen felt as if she had punched cotton. Lu Chen felt a little strange in his heart when he saw the little confrontation between the two women. It seems that Zhang Yuchen still has me in her heart, Lu Chen thought in his heart. Lu Chen, this Chu Bingyan of the Ice Spirit tribe is not a fuel-efficient lamp. Don't be fooled by her. Zhang Yuchen then walked in front of Lu Chen and whispered into Lu Chen's ear. Lu Chen quickly suppressed his thoughts and also whispered in Lu Yuchen's ear, I know, I will pay attention to it. After speaking, Lu Chen accidentally touched Zhang Yuchen's earlobe, which made Zhang Yuchen's face turn red with embarrassment and her body trembled. Now that the challenge is over, I will leave. I will be waiting for Mr. Lu Chen at Saints' Peak at any time. Feeling that her body was about to weaken, Zhang Yuchen did not dare to stay any longer, and turned into a rainbow light and disappeared into the martial arts field. Yinger, please continue to recruit disciples at Luoxing Square. You can recruit more potential ones to expand the power of our Saint Child Peak. After Zhang Yuchen left, Lu Chen continued to say to Yinger next to him. In this disciple competition, in addition to Chu Bingyan and the others, there are still many other good talents. Lu Chen does not mind recruiting more talents with extraordinary strength and talent. Yes, Your Highness the Holy Sun, leave it to me. His Royal Highness the Holy Sun just showed off his power in the martial arts arena. There must be many talented people who are willing to join our Holy Sun Peak. Yinger showed a confident smile and said to Lu Chen. Lu Chen powerfully defeated Yi Bufan, who had the ancient holy body, attracting the attention of many disciples, and he would definitely be able to recruit many outstanding disciples. Moreover, Lu Chen is the holy son of the Absolute Beginning Holy Land, and he has a great chance to take over the authority of the Absolute Beginning Holy Land in the future and become the master of the Holy Land. If you join Saint Child Peak now, you will undoubtedly have a great chance to enter the real power center of the Absolute Beginning Holy Land. After Yinger finished speaking, he went to Luo Xing Square and continued to help Saint Child Peak recruit outstanding main peak disciples. Bingyan, let's go back then, and I'll teach you the secret technique. After Yinger left, Lu Chen continued to say to Chu Bingyan next to him. Yes, thank you master. Chu Bingyan then quickly hugged Lu Chen's arm again and said gratefully. Isn't this a bad influence? Seeing Chu Bingyan hugging his arm again, Lu Chen thought of Zhang Yuchen's words just now. No, I'm a transmigrator. Whether the influence from another world is good or not is none of my business. Soon, Lu Chen suppressed the unnecessary emotions in his heart and felt the huge warmth with peace of mind. Master, are you soft? When the two of them were slowly walking towards the Saint Child Peak, Chu Bingyan suddenly stood up on her tiptoes, whispered into Lu Chen's ear. Lu Chen, I am your master, please be careful. Lu Chen's heart froze, then he pinched Chu Bingyan's innocent face and said faintly. He didn't expect that the reincarnation of Ice Ancestor would be so bold. He seriously doubted that if he didn't stabilize this little girl, in 2 days, she would directly. Not to mention that the two of them are masters and apprentices, Chu Bingyan is the reincarnation of Bing Ancestor, if she really has something to do with her. When she fully awakens her true spirit, she will definitely eat a pot of it. There are many beautiful and charming women around him that he can take care of at will, so there is no need to cause a big trouble. Yes, it's master, I understand. Chu Bingyan felt aggrieved, her big innocent eyes were crystal clear. Then, without talking all the way, the two returned to Shengji Peak. In the spiritual land of Shengji Peak, Chu Bingyan sat cross-legged in the center of the spiritual ground, the white marks between her eyebrows constantly shining. This secret technique is called the Immortal Spirit Replenishing Heaven Technique. It is a spiritual replenishing secret technique that I have learned myself. It can perfectly make up for the lack of your true spirit. Lu Chen stood in front of Chu Bingyan and said to Chu Bingyan, who was sitting cross-legged in the middle. Master, can you really make up for my lack of true spirit? Hearing Lu Chen's words, Chu Bingyan's eyes were filled with anticipation and she asked in disbelief. The reason why Chu Bingyan came to the absolute beginning Holy Land to become a disciple was because her true spirit was missing, which seriously affected her cultivation. Many ancestors in the Ice Spirit tribe have adopted many methods and hired many top experts, but there is no way to make up for its shortcomings. The spirit replenishing technique of the absolute beginning Holy Land has a great reputation in the eastern region. It can repair spirituality and may make up for some of her shortcomings. Therefore, Chu Bingyan came to the absolute beginning Holy Land under the guidance of their ancestors of the Ice Spirit clan, hoping to become a disciple of the main peak and repair their true spirit with the help of the spirit replenishing technique of the absolute beginning Holy Land. Originally, she had the idea to join Zixia Peak, but after coming into contact with Lu Chen's secret technique in Luo Xing Square, Chu Bingyan immediately changed her mind. Her feeling told her that spirit replenishing technique was not as good as Lu Chen's secret technique. The secret technique mastered by Chen. However, Chu Bingyan was still a little shocked to hear Lu Chen say that this secret technique could perfectly compensate for the true spirit. There is a huge difference between making up for something perfectly and making up for something. Lu Chen smiled slightly and said, of course it is true, don't resist, I will teach you this secret skill now, you will know after you try it. This secret technique was understood by Lu Chen when he absorbed the origin of Zhang Yuchen's fairy spirit body. When the origin of Zhang Yuchen's immortal spirit body was ingested, it triggered the mysterious laws of heaven and earth, imitating countless great Tao inspirations and mysterious spirituality. Because of the existence of heaven-defying comprehension, Lu Chen understood this top soul replenishing secret technique when he stirred the laws of heaven and earth. This fairy spirit mending heaven technique contains the secret of the origin of fairy spirits, and can repair the spirituality of all things. It is very powerful. Although Chu Bingyan's true spirit is mysterious, it can also be repaired perfectly. Chu Bingyan said respectfully and excitedly, yes, Master. Thank you very much, Master, for giving me the Dharma. After speaking, Lu Chen's fingertips touched the mark between Chu Bingyan's eyebrows, transmitting this fairy spirit mending heaven technique. Whoosh whoosh. The information of fairy spirit mending heaven technique slowly entered Chu Bingyan's mind along the center of Chu Bingyan's eyebrows. Half a quarter of an hour later, all the information was imparted. Chu Bingyan digested the complicated and obscure information in her mind, her eyes widened, and she felt excited. At this time, she felt that this secret technique contained infinite mysteries. If she mastered it thoroughly, she could really make up for her lack of true spirit. Wow, thank you so much, Master, for being so kind to me. You taught me such a powerful secret skill directly. After realizing the power of this secret technique, Chu Bingyan couldn't bear it anymore. She quickly stood up and threw herself on Lu Chen's body, snuggling into Lu Chen's arms and saying with a smile. After obtaining this secret technique, Chu Bingyan deeply understood the power of this secret technique. Although she had already worshipped Lu Chen as her master, Chu Bingyan knew that the two of them did not actually have a particularly deep master-disciple relationship. Lu Chen could definitely teach himself such a powerful secret technique later. It's even okay to use this secret technique to put some conditions on yourself. After all, you are the genius of the Ice Spirit tribe and you still have a lot of treasures. However, Lu Chen didn't ask for anything and taught him this secret technique on the first day, which really moved Chu Bingyan. Looking at the moved Chu Bingyan, Lu Chen's mouth twitched slightly. He didn't expect that this reincarnation of Bing ancestor would be so simple. The curvature that was completely inconsistent with the innocent face pressed heavily on Lu Chen's body, making Lu Chen's mind slightly trembled. This little girl is so talented. It's just a secret technique, don't worry about it. Lu Chen patted Chu Bingyan's jade back and said softly. Master, I will definitely repay you well in the future, moi. Chu Bingyan then stood up from Lu Chen's arms, and then kissed Lu Chen on the face like a dragonfly. Lu Chen, this is how you repay your master. Do you want to jockey Zhu? Chu Bingyan seemed to realize her gaffe, and quickly left Lu Chen's arms with a blushing face. After a while, Chu Bingyan calmed down her excitement, but there was still some blush on her face, and she did not expect that she would suddenly behave like this. Then you should practice hard. If you don't understand anything, you can ask me. Lu Chen then said to the little girl with twin ponytails in front of him. Yes, master. Chu Bingyan nodded obediently. Then, Lu Chen turned around and left. The dual pupils he obtained had not yet been fused, and they had to be fused as soon as possible. Master, I'm going to practice. This is my apprenticeship ceremony. Please accept it. Just as Lu Chen turned to leave, Chu Bingyan suddenly spoke, thrust a space ring into Lu Chen's hand, and then left quickly without giving Lu Chen a chance to refuse. This little girl, it's completely unnecessary. Looking at Chu Bingyan who had disappeared, Lu Chen couldn't laugh or cry, and felt a warmth in his heart. At least it's this little girl's intention, so let's see what's there. Lu Chen was not one to be coy either. He immediately opened the space ring and looked at the contents inside. This little girl is too fat. Is this the foundation of a super race? Seeing what was in the space ring, Lu Chen's pupils shrank and he was slightly shocked. I saw that inside the space ring, there were a large number of crystal clear crystal stones. These crystal stones were full of color and exuded an unusually rich spiritual energy. Holy crystal, so many holy crystals. Looking at the many crystal stones that exuded rich spiritual power, Lu Chen's eyes lit up. These crystals are exactly holy crystals, which are spiritual crystals of a higher level than spiritual stones. They contain extremely pure spiritual intelligence. They can generally only be used by saints and strong men, and their value is extremely astonishing. Holy crystal is a strategic resource in the world of gods and is very rare. Most of the holy crystal mines are basically controlled by the top forces. Spiritual stones can also be exchanged for holy crystals, but it takes 100,000 spiritual stones to exchange for one holy crystal, and it is still priceless and difficult to exchange. Lu Chen roughly estimated that there were more than 30,000 holy crystals in this space ring. In other words, the holy crystal in this space ring is worth at least billions of spiritual stones. If all were exchanged for spiritual stones through some special channels, it would not be impossible to exchange them for tens of billions of spiritual stones. This would be a huge fortune. In addition to the holy crystal, there are also many elixirs in the space ring, including some 10,000-year elixirs that contain extremely precious spiritual essences. With these holy crystals and 10,000-year elixir, we don't have to worry about cultivation resources for the time being. Looking at the many spiritual objects in the space ring, Lu Chen murmured in his heart. Originally, Chase Lu wanted to look for more opportunities outside, but with so many saint crystals, there was no need. There is no need to obtain those ordinary opportunities, just seize those top-level opportunities. However, those ordinary opportunities can be taken over by Yinger and the Shadow Guards. Chase Lu was thinking secretly in his heart. No matter how small a mosquito is, it's still meat. If you don't eat it yourself, you can let your own people eat it. Lu Chen was still relieved about Yinger and Shadow Guard. In the original work, even if Lu Chen was despised by thousands of people and the entire clan was the enemy, Yinger and the Shadow Guards still stood firmly on Chen Lu's side. Let's fuse dual pupils first. Lu Chen then suppressed his thoughts and planned to fuse dual pupils first. As for those small opportunities, Lu Chen decided to sort them out after he merged with dual pupils and let Yinger and Shadow Guard go. System: Fusion Emperor Luo Dual Pupils. After a while, Lu Chenlai returned to his room and began to fuse the dual pupils. Boom! As soon as Lu Chen finished speaking, an extremely mysterious force appeared from somewhere, rushing towards Lu Chen's eyes. The mysterious power circulated back and forth in Lu Chen's eyes, seeming to be changing Lu Chen's origin. As the mysterious power circulated, Chase Lu felt his eyes begin to feel hot. For a moment, the deep pupils emitted an astonishing light. Death and rebirth coexisted, and black and white intertwined. Two divine lights burst out in Lu Chen's eyes, dividing the world into black and white, and there was silence around him. Behind Lu Chen, countless visions emerged, including the flying dragon, the phoenix Nirvana, the roaring unicorn. The entire room was completely shrouded in many strange phenomena. Half a quarter of an hour later, Lu Chen's original black pupils turned into black and white Tai Chi pupils, and runes containing ancient mysteries emerged. These runes seem to contain the great Tao of heaven and earth, including the origin of all things, giving people a mysterious feeling. Not only that, with the integration of dual pupils, Lu Chen felt that his heritage was undergoing a huge transformation again. Spirit, flesh and blood, meridians, dantian, soul, everything is undergoing tremendous transformation. The powerful Deluo dual pupils. Feeling the transformation of his body, Chase Lu felt excited. Originally, after fusing Supreme Bone and Fairy Spirit Source Qi, Lu Chen's background became very terrifying. Now after merging with dual pupils, it has transformed towards the Forbidden Realm, becoming very terrifying and almost tearing apart space. Continue to merge. Lu Chen then suppressed his thoughts and continued to fuse Deluo dual pupils. Time passes slowly and the sun sets in the west. The selection of disciples for the main peak in Luoxing Square has also come to an end. The disciples who have passed the disciple competition have all selected the suitable main peak. Master, the competition is over, why do we have to go back to Falling Star Square? On the other side of Luoxing Square, Yi Bufan, who was pale and without any trace of blood, said to Qin Yuning in front of him with a trembling voice. After Yi Bufan returned to Zixia Peak, Qin Yuning took Yi Bufan and Yi Lingxi back to Falling Star Square just after some treatment. Not only Yi Bufan and others, but also Chu Bingyan, who had become Lu Chen's disciple, was also called back to Luo Xing Square by Yinger. Qin Yuning didn't say anything more, but said calmly, "You'll know later." This disciple competition has concluded successfully. Now the spiritual power initiation begins. Anyone who kills the ferocious beasts in the 10,000 beasts chart will receive the spiritual power initiation. The more ferocious beasts are killed, the more spiritual power will be obtained through the initiation. After a while, after many disciples were in place, Li Daohong's heavy voice spread throughout Luoxing Square. Spiritual power initiation, I see. No wonder Master wants me to kill many ferocious beasts in the 10,000 beasts map. I understand Master's painstaking efforts. After hearing Li Daohong's words on the high platform, Yi Bufan's eyes lit up, and a hint of excitement appeared on his pale face. After being easily defeated by Lu Chen, Yi Bufan's desire to become stronger has reached its extreme. He can't wait to reach the top now and regain his place. The benefits of this spiritual empowerment can definitely speed up this process. Moreover, Yi Bufan's body had been severely damaged just now. If he received this spiritual empowerment, it would undoubtedly be a huge help. Qin Yuning nodded and said to Yi Bufan, just understand. Remember the humiliation you suffered today and work hard to improve your strength. If you can't even surpass Lu Chen, don't talk about ascending to the extreme realm. Master, I understand. I will definitely work harder to practice in the future. Lu Chen, I will definitely defeat him and let him taste the pain he has brought to me. Yi Bufan said firmly. Yi Lingxi on the side felt tired after hearing Yi Bufan's words. Why did her brother insist on going against Lu Chen, after he had suffered so many losses? If it weren't for yourself, you would have. Thinking of this, Yi Lingxi felt even more tired. Start the spiritual initiation. While several people were chatting, Li Daohong on the stage announced the beginning of the spiritual empowerment. Many disciples hurriedly sat cross-legged in Luo Xing Square to receive spiritual empowerment. Whoosh whoosh. The beasts in the sky were constantly circling, and after a moment, the majestic spiritual power was like rain, drifting towards the many disciples in Luo Xing Square. The top forces in the eastern region still have some background, and they actually have such a miraculous treasure. In the area where St. Child Peak is located, Chu Bingyan, a childlike giant, extremely pure, looked at the huge vortex of spiritual power above her head, her eyes full of surprise. She could feel that these spiritual powers were extremely pure and had very magical effects. But that guy Yi Bufan, who was beaten into such a state by his master, can still come to receive spiritual empowerment, it's really unexpected. While Chu Bingyan was absorbing the pure spiritual power from the spiritual power initiation, she couldn't help but look at the Zixia peak in the distance. I saw two huge whirlpools of spiritual energy flowing crazily in the Zixia peak area. One of them was extremely huge, almost twice the size of Chu Bingyan. Chu Bingyan knew without looking that it belonged to Yi Bufan. Boom. Where Zixia Peak is located, the vortex of spiritual power on Yi Bufan's head is extremely huge. The spiritual power rushes toward Yi Bufan like a mountain and sea, squeezing Yi Bufan's body. It feels so good, ha ha ha, it feels so good. Feeling the growing spiritual power in his body, Yi Bufan couldn't help shouting, feeling extremely happy. This feeling of ever-expanding spiritual power really fascinated him. Wait for me, Lu Chen, I will trample you hard under my feet soon. Yi Bufan growled, his eyes filled with scarlet color. What's it called? It scared me so much that I almost lost my spiritual power and became a demon after I left. This idiot, isn't he annoying? He screamed again. Nima, it's so noisy, why doesn't His Highness the Holy Sun kill this guy? A guy like this who is so arrogant after just a little momentum, ha. The surrounding disciples who were quietly receiving spiritual empowerment heard Yi Bufan's voice and cursed angrily. You trash, keep pushing, wait until I've finished absorbing it, and I'll take care of you one by one. When Yi Bufan was already very angry, he couldn't bear to hear these belittling voices and threatened him coldly. Boom. However, as soon as Yi Bufan finished speaking, a strange and mysterious inspiration suddenly surged in his body. In an instant, this mysterious inspiration was like a storm, striking towards the fragile meridians that were absorbing the spiritual power. No, how could it be? Feeling the storm of inspiration that appeared inexplicably in his body, Yi Bufan's face became extremely ugly. Stab. Just when Yi Bufan wanted to do something, the storm of inspiration had completely destroyed Yi Bufan's fragile meridians. After Yi Bufan's meridians were destroyed, the rich spiritual energy in his body quickly leaked out, impacting the spiritual vortex above his head. The pain of tearing his body to pieces quickly penetrated Yi Bufan's whole body, causing Yi Bufan to endure severe pain. It's Lu Chen, that guy, it must be that guy, it's him. Although Yi Bufan didn't know what was going on, the first person that came to mind was Lu Chen, and it must be him. What happened? Extraordinary. Qin Yuning, who was not far away, had been paying attention to Yi Bufan's spiritual empowerment. After discovering Yi Bufan's abnormality, he immediately came to Yi Bufan's side. However, when Qin Yuning came to Yi Bufan, it was too late. After the meridian fragments, under the impact of powerful spiritual pressure, Yi Bufan, whose face was distorted, had fainted. All the meridians are shattered, my cultivation is gone, and Bufan has become a waste. After Qin Yuning used his soul power to investigate, he immediately discovered that Yi Bufan's current situation was very bad. Ha ha ha, pretend, let you pretend, now you are a waste. I'm laughing so hard. I was so awesome just now, and now I'm stunned. It's better not to be too arrogant as a person. His Royal Highness the Holy Sun is much better than him. Or you like him. The surrounding disciples who were receiving the initiation heard Qin Yuning's words and spoke one after another, their faces full of joy. It is true that Yi Bufan is so annoying that not many disciples have a good impression of him. Moreover, he was just showing off again, which was really annoying. Now that his meridians are all broken and he has become a disabled person, he will not feel pity for him at all. Master, what's wrong with my brother? Yi Lingxi, who was receiving the initiation on the side, also noticed Yi Bufan's strange movements, and quickly came to Qin Yuning and Yi Bufan, asking worriedly. Qin Yuning's expression was gloomy and he ignored Yi Lingxi's words. After a moment, Qin Yuning seemed to have thought of something, her face turned cold, and she walked away, completely ignoring Yi Bufan who was lying on the ground. Master, please save my brother, please. When Yi Lingxi saw Qin Yuning walking away, she quickly pleaded with Li Weiyu. Her pitiful appearance made people feel pity for him. However, Qin Yuning still ignored him and left with a cold expression. Elder brother. Seeing such ruthless Qin Yuning, Yi Lingxi bit her lip and burst into tears. The sarcasm around him, Qin Yuning who left heartlessly, and the seriously injured and dying brother in front of him. This scene made Yi Lingxi feel like she was back in a situation where everyone bullied her brother and sister before they entered the practice, and they were left without any friends, almost in despair. It turns out that after we have worked hard for so long, nothing has changed. We are still weak, and we still have nothing. Yi Lingxi was confused in her heart, letting the surrounding inspirations impact her body, and she was in pain without even realizing it. Deep in Zixia Peak, there is a cave mansion that is blocked by a powerful forbidden circle. The cave mansion is filled with aura, and there are many spiritual plants, exuding a rich fragrance and inspiration. Wearing a red palace dress and a hot figure, Qin Yuning entered the cave mansion and came to a mysterious altar deep in the cave mansion. After Qin Yuning came to the altar, he took out a red incense and quickly lit it. The red cigarette slowly floated out, and soon, a majestic and terrifying soul light shadow appeared in front of Qin Yuning. The ghost of the soul light is an old man in white robes. Although the old man is old, his eyes have endless divine light, as if they contain billions of stars. After the phantom appeared, Qin Yuning quickly knelt in front of the phantom, keeping his posture extremely low. When the old man in white robes saw Qin Yuning kneeling, his face showed displeasure. Yuning, didn't I tell you? Don't use soul-inducing incense before Yi Bufan's basic accomplishment. Ancestor, something happened to Yi Bufan. It's a very important matter. I have to come and tell Ancestor. Qin Yuning quickly explained, fearing that her behavior would cause dissatisfaction with the ancestor of the Qin family. What can happen to Yi Bufan? He has already passed the most difficult stage. As long as he practices step by step, he can reach the top step by step. The Qin family ancestor frowned and asked. Ancestor, it's true. Just now, when Yi Bufan received the spiritual empowerment of the absolute beginning Holy Land 10,000 beasts, the spiritual power in his body suddenly exploded, and his meridians were completely shattered. He has become a useless person. Qin Yuning continued, telling the Qin family ancestor about Yi Bufan. What did you say? Yi Bufan's meridians were completely shattered and he became a cripple. What do you do for food? After hearing Qin Yuning's words clearly, the Qin family ancestor's face became extremely ugly, and he stared at Qin Yuning with his deep eyes. The gaze of the ancestor of the Qin family seemed to be carrying the primordial divine mountain, which gave Qin Yuning a great sense of oppression. It made Qin Yuning feel as if he was in an endless abyss, and there was a huge wave of fear in his heart. Ancestor, the situation was too urgent at that time, and I didn't know. Qin Yuning lowered his head deeply, his body constantly shaking. She knew how much the ancestor valued Yi Bufan. Now that Yi Bufan had become a useless person, Qin Yuning couldn't believe how the ancestor would punish her. Although she is a member of the Qin family and Yi Bufan's aunt, she has no value in front of the Qin family ancestor, because the Qin family ancestor is the Qin family's heaven. Now, tell me everything that happened to Yi Bufan during this period. The ancestor of the Qin family stared indifferently at Qin Yuning in front of him and said calmly. Qin Yuning responded tremblingly, yes, ancestor. Then, Qin Yuning told the Qin family ancestor in detail what happened during this period. Lu Chen, the holy son of the absolute beginning Holy Land, defeated Yi Bufan twice. After hearing about Lu Chen and Yi Bufan's grievances, the Qin family ancestor's expression changed slightly, as if he was thinking about something. After a while, the ancestor of the Qin family seemed to have figured it out, with a faint glint in his eyes. Okay, I understand, this matter has nothing to do with you, maybe, this is destiny. After saying that, the ancestor of the Qin family restrained his energy that was about to tear everything apart, and the space that was about to be torn apart began to calm down. After receiving the ancestor's forgiveness, Qin Yuning's pressure suddenly decreased, and his nervous heart slowly calmed down. No matter what, just save your life. After recovering slightly, Qin Yuning continued to ask, Ancestor, what should I do next? Yi Bufan has been disabled, so should we? The ancestor of the Qin family then said calmly, you can continue to take care of Yi Bufan. Tomorrow I will ask the messenger from the underworld to help Yi Bufan repair his meridians. Ancestor, do you really want Hades to get involved? Hades is a lackey of the dark race. When Qin Yuning heard the ancestor's words, his face changed slightly and his voice trembled. Huh. You're questioning my decision. The ancestor of the Qin family looked at Qin Yuning again, and the entire cave mansion seemed to be making waves again. Yu Ning doesn't dare, Yu Ning will obey the ancestor's decree. Qin Yuning kowtowed several times and said tremblingly, not daring to refute the Qin family ancestor. The ancestor of the Qin family hummed, then turned into endless fragments of spiritual light and disappeared into the cave mansion. Call. After the ancestor of the Qin family left, Qin Yuning let out a breath of turbid air and lay softly on the ground. Facing the ancestor's soul light shadow, it was really terrifying, with the feeling of being torn apart at any time. Qin Yuning really didn't want to feel it anymore. It's better to take Yi Bufan back to Xixia Peak first. We can't let him die there. Qin Yuning didn't have time to rest, so she quickly stood up and hurried towards Luoxing Square. In the room of Shengji Peak. After several hours of fusion, the Luo dual pupils has been completely integrated successfully. In Lu Chen's pupils, there was endless deep divine light, and those black pupils seemed to contain incomparable magical power. Discover the illusion and trace the origin. Lu Chen activated his dual pupils, and his black pupils suddenly turned into black and white pupils, and magical runes circulated in Lu Chen's pupils. The whole world became extremely clear before Lu Chen's eyes. The laws of heaven and earth and the intelligence of all things that were originally invisible were now clearly revealed in front of Lu Chen. In addition, Chase Lu has heaven-defying comprehension, and Chen Lu can even feel the rules of how this world operates. Although it is very weak, Chen Lu can still sense it slightly. There is also a top-level divine ability, Destruction Pupils, and Dual Pupils top-level magic, which contains the power to destroy everything. Lu Chen said slowly, feeling the terrifying aura contained in dual pupils. This time I merged with dual pupils, and my background has improved a lot. Although my cultivation has only increased by 2 levels, my strength has increased more than 10 times. Now I should be able to easily crush the saints of the lower 3 realms, and the 3rd level. Even a saint in this realm can fight. Lu Chen then looked inside his dantian and saw 6 golden Taoist palaces floating above his dantian. An endless aura of terror filled the Taoist palaces. What's more important is that my mental power has broken through the bottleneck of the peak of heaven level and I have become a spiritual saint. In Lu Chen's sea of consciousness, the endless spiritual power seemed to have turned into a sea, constantly boiling. In the center of the sea of consciousness, there is a golden soul light villain who looks exactly like Lu Chen. He is completely a pocket version of Lu Chen. This pocket version of the golden soul light is Lu Chen's divine infant, and it is a symbol of the spiritual power becoming a saint. It's time for me to find some spiritual power, divine ability, to practice. Such powerful spiritual power cannot be wasted like this. Feeling the surging spiritual power in the sea of consciousness, Lu Chen couldn't help but think in his heart. Lu Chen is now a spiritual saint, and his spiritual power is extremely powerful. He can suppress any monk below the saint with his spiritual power alone. However, Lu Chen does not have the divine ability to practice spiritual power, so he cannot fully exert the tyranny of spiritual power. However, the spiritual power initiation should be over. I wonder if Yi Bufan is not satisfied with the gift I left for Yi Bufan. Lu Chen seemed to have thought of something, touched his chin and murmured in a low voice. Just go and see and you'll find out. Then, Chase Lu left his room. Master, now I am a monk in the middle stage of the creation realm. Anyone who dares to challenge you in the future must pass me first. Not long after Lu Chen left the room, he met Chu Bingyan who had just returned from Luoxing Square. When Chu Bingyan saw Lu Chen coming out of seclusion, she immediately jumped to Lu Chen's side and said proudly. That's not right. You were just a life and death realm 6th layer heaven before. The spiritual empowerment you got from killing those ferocious beasts shouldn't allow you to break through to the middle stage of the creation realm. Lu Chen asked doubtfully as he looked at the pure, moving and beautiful girl next to him. Although Chu Bingyan has good talent, she is still the super genius of the ice spirit tribe. However, after all, the true spirit is lacking. In the 10,000 beasts map, there is no such advantage as Yi Bufan, and he has not killed many ferocious beasts. In the original work, after receiving spiritual empowerment, Chu Bingyan only broke through from the life and death realm 6th layer to the life and death realm 9th layer. She did not break through to the creation realm, let alone reach the middle stage of the creation realm. Hey, it's all thanks to Master. That guy Yi Bufan was beaten so hard by Master that he dared to accept such a terrifying spiritual power initiation. His meridians were completely shattered and he became a waste. All his spiritual power was gone. I'm the second best at being cheap. Chu Bingyan blinked her big innocent eyes and said in an eccentric way, her delicate eyebrows full of joy. So that's it. I didn't expect that a little girl like you would miss it. After hearing Chu Bingyan's words, Lu Chen felt relieved. As expected, Yi Bufan fell into his own trick. In fact, the secret trick Lu Chen left behind was not a particularly clever method. As long as Yi Bufan goes back to recover his body and does not accept the spiritual empowerment, the assassination will be completely eliminated in a short time and will not have any impact on Yi Bufan. However, Yi Bufan just accepted the spiritual empowerment. HMPH, how can I pick up a leak? If I didn't have the strength of second place, how could I have picked up such a leak? I did it with my own strength and the help of my master. Chu Bingyan raised her little pink fist and said fiercely. Okay, you're awesome. Lu Chen touched Chu Bingyan's hair and smiled. After receiving Lu Chen's praise, Chu Bingyan also showed a pure smile, hugged Lu Chen's arm, and chattered about Luoxing Square. Lu Chen also experienced this rare leisure and felt the tenderness and refreshing fragrance of the girl beside him. Under Chu Bingyan's narration, Lu Chen understood everything about what happened after he left the martial arts arena. Master, there are still some things I don't understand about the fairy spirit mending technique. Can you teach me? After talking about Luoxing Square, Chu Bingyan looked at Lu Chen with bright eyes, her face full of expectation. Sure. Lu Chen nodded and agreed to Chu Bingyan's request. After all, he created this technique, and he knew it very well, so he had no problem teaching Chu Bingyan. Moreover, Chu Bingyan is now his disciple after all, so it is appropriate to teach her some spiritual issues. Then Master, come with me, let's go into the room. Chu Bingyan quickly took Lu Chen's hand and went to the room Yinger arranged for her at St. Child Peak. Chase Lu's heart froze. He was just giving instructions on the exercises. Do I need to enter the room? However, seeing that Chu Bingyan attached so much importance to it, he didn't say anything more and let Chu Bingyan hold her hand and walk forward. After a while, Chu Bingyan took Lu Chen into her room. Since there were no plans to recruit disciples before, this room was not too decorated and was very simple. There was only a white jade bed and some simple furniture in the room. The two of them sat on the bed, and Chu Bingyan then raised some confusion about this secret technique. Lu Chen answered them one by one. Half a quarter of an hour later, Lu Chen solved all the problems raised by Chu Bingyan. Master, you are so powerful. The ancestors of our ice spirit tribe are not as powerful as you. I am so lucky to have Master as my disciple. After solving many problems, Chu Bingyan looked at Lu Chen in front of her with admiration, and the light in her eyes kept shining. Looking at Chu Bingyan whose eyes were filled with his own, Lu Chen felt a little uneasy. I have to say that this childlike little apprentice with twin ponytails is really good at talking, especially with his innocent face and this terrifying figure. I think too much. I can't compare to your ancestors. I just have some unique insights into this secret technique. After all, I created this secret technique. Lu Chen shook his head, and then said slowly. The ancestor of the Ice Spirit clan is an invincible strongman who has entered the Supreme Realm. Although Lu Chen feels that he has a promising future and has a great chance of reaching the top in the future, he is not so arrogant that he feels that he can compare with those giants and powerful people now. That is really unrealistic. I am not that idiot like Yi Bufan. Chu Bingyan slowly raised her head and said to Lu Chen with bright eyes, in my heart, Master is the most powerful. Now run this secret technique and see if there are any problems. Lu Chen ignored Chu Bingyan's rainbow fart and continued. Now, since the secret technique has been almost understood, it is time to try the efficacy of this secret technique. Yes, Master. Chu Bingyan also knew that now was not the time for small talk. Master's time was precious and could not be wasted like this. Then, Chu Bingyan activated the Fairy Spirit Mending Heaven technique. With the operation of the technique, Chu Bingyan's body exuded a mysterious spiritual energy, and the silver-white hair was lifted up by the slightly swaying spiritual energy, flying gently. A quarter of an hour later, Lu Chen sensed that Chu Bingyan's true spirit seemed to have made up for it, and after there was no abnormality in her body, he nodded and said, it seems there is no problem. Replenishing the true spirit cannot be solved overnight. Even with the heaven-defying secret of replenishing the spirit such as fairy spirit replenishing the sky, it still requires a lot of time to accumulate. Master. At this time, Chu Bingyan also slowly opened her eyes, her face flushed with embarrassment. Her eyes looked straight at Lu Chen, and there seemed to be a strange light flowing in her pure eyes. What's the problem? Chase Lu looked at Chu Bingyan, whose face was slightly rosy, and asked. Master, there seems to be something wrong. Chu Bingyan's eyes flashed with a cunning look, and then she said softly. Lu Chen didn't understand so he asked. He obviously didn't notice any problem. What problem? It hurts a little here. Chu Bingyan bit her red lips, grabbed Lu Chen's hand, and placed Lu Chen's hand in front of her heart. Lu Chen. The mysterious and soft feeling made Lu Chen feel quite magical. It hurts here. Is there any other problem with this secret technique? Lu Chen said in a slightly hoarse voice, and his palms moved unconsciously. This little girl plays her cards so unconventionally that it really makes him, the villain, the Holy Sun, a bit unbearable. Whose disciple is so imprudent? No, it's just heartache. I feel sad that I didn't meet Master sooner. Chu Bingyan's eyes kept flashing, and she looked straight at Lu Chen. Lu Chen. Little girl, how dare you play tricks on me, it seems I need to teach you a lesson. Hearing Chu Bingyan's words, Lu Chen's mouth twitched slightly, and he decided to teach Chu Bingyan a lesson. Although this young apprentice spoke nicely, he disrespected his master so much that he must be taught a lesson, otherwise he will be punished in the future. He might do something to destroy the jockey's ancestors. Then, Lu Chen beat Chu Bingyan hard. After beating Chu Bingyan, Lu Chen left. Lu Chen, who left Chu Bingyan's room, came to the spiritual spring, called Yinger, and prepared to clean his body. Yi Yinger helped Lu Chen clean his body while telling Lu Chen about the Luoxing Square. Because Lu Chen asked Yinger to pay more attention to the two siblings, Yi Bufan and Yi Lingxi, he knew the situation in more detail than Chu Bingyan. That guy Qin Yuning abandoned Yi Bufan whose meridians were shattered and left directly. He didn't even pay attention to Yi Lingxi's pleading. After hearing that Qin Yuning abandoned Yi Bufan, Lu Chen was slightly stunned. Apparently he did not expect Qin Yuning to be so ruthless. In this case, perhaps, Yi Lingxi can start to deal with Qin Yuning, a thought flashed in Lu Chen's heart. Yes, Your Highness the Holy Sun, but half an hour after Qin Yuning left, she came back to pick up Yi Bufan and Yi Lingxi. Yinger came to Lu Chen's back and told Lu Chen what happened after Qin Yuning abandoned Yi Bufan. Is that so? Could it be that I have received new instructions? Lu Chen thought to himself. He had read the original work and naturally knew that Qin Yuning was ordered by the ancestor of the Qin family to assist Yi Bufan. Although Qin Yuning values family affection, this is based on Yi Bufan's strong talent. Yi Bufan, whose meridians have been destroyed, has no value at all. Guys like Qin Yuning will definitely not come back to Yi Bufan, who was abandoned by him, just because of this little family affection. Others may find it conscience-stricken and feel uneasy, but that is definitely not her Qin Yuning style. It took half an hour to come back to look for Yi Bufan, which was probably under the orders of the ancestor of the Qin family. The future has changed again. It's interesting. Is this what makes it interesting? Everything is going according to plan. That would be too boring. Lu Chen murmured in his heart. Now, he has integrated many top-level physiques and has many trump cards. He is really not afraid of any changes. His Royal Highness the Holy Sun, Yilingshi has come to our Holy Sun Peak and is already waiting for His Highness the Holy Sun at the Holy Sun's training ground. Just when Chase Lu was about to take a good soak for a while, a black shadow flashed past the spiritual spring. A frosty woman wearing black clothes and a hot figure appeared next to the spiritual spring. This woman is also Xuanzhi, one of the shadow guards, and a loyal member who has followed Lu Chen for a long time. Yilingshi is here. Hearing Xuanzhi's words, Chase Lu narrowed his eyes slightly. Originally, Lu Chen thought that after Yi Bufan was deposed by him, Yilingshi would be completely desperate and would not pay attention to him at all. Unexpectedly, she still came. This was really beyond Lu Chen's expectations. Now that she's here, I'll go take a look. Lu Chen quickly made up his mind. Even if she dared to come, Lu Chen would naturally not be timid. Shengji Peak, in the antique room. Yilingshi, who was wearing a light green dress, with a slim figure and wet tears on her face, walked into the room blankly. Like a puppet on strings, she took off her splendid white shoes, got on the bed, hugged her smooth and white knees with both hands, bit her red lips, not knowing what she was thinking. Not long after, the door of the room was opened, and a breeze blew. Yilingshi's hair was gently blown. Coupled with Yilingshi's pitiful posture and peerless pure face at this time, it is extremely pitiful and full of destructive desire. I thought you weren't coming. Lu Chen closed the door and looked at the pitiful innocent girl in front of him, and said with a complicated expression. This little girl is like this and yet she still comes to keep her appointment. It's so cute. I am an honest and trustworthy person. I will definitely do what I promise others. Yilingshi sniffed and continued. Lu Chen took a deep look at Yilingshi and said nothing more. Zixia Peak is a spiritual land filled with rich spiritual power. The sun rises from the east, and the weak sunlight shines on the spiritual land, spreading a touch of warmth. On a blood-colored lotus platform in the center of the spiritual land, Yi Bufan, who was pale and with broken meridians, was lying on the blood-colored lotus platform. Under the bloody lotus platform, there are mysterious runes that gather the spiritual power of the surrounding world and nourish Yi Bufan's body. On the other side of the spiritual place, Qin Yuning, who was wearing a red palace dress and had a hot figure, looked straight at Yi Bufan on the bloody lotus platform. Didn't the ancestor say that the messenger from the underworld would come? Why hasn't he come yet? If he doesn't come, the bloody sky lotus won't be able to save Yi Bufan. Seeing that Yi Bufan's condition did not improve, Qin Yuning's face showed a trace of worry. After all, the ancestor asked her to continue to take care of Yi Bufan. If Yi Bufan was gone before the messenger from the underworld came, she would definitely be punished. Jihieji, don't worry, the ancient holy body boy is very tough, he won't die so easily. At this moment, a deep and hoarse voice sounded in Qin Yuning's ears. This sound was like a dark wind, invading the entire spiritual land. It was clearly daytime, but Qin Yuning felt like he was falling into endless darkness, and everything around him became extremely blurry at the moment. Whoosh whoosh. Along with this sound, there was a burst of black mist. Black mist appeared from an inexplicable place and swept towards the side of the bloody lotus platform. Then, the black fog slowly dissipated, and a man wrapped in a black robe and wearing a mysterious mask appeared in front of Qin Yuning. The mysterious man carried an extremely terrifying aura, which made Qin Yuning feel a sense of oppression that penetrated deep into his bones. Qin family member Qin Yuning has seen the messenger of Hades. I wonder which messenger of Hades you are. Qin Yuning said respectfully quickly, with fear in his eyes. Hades is a force attached to the dark race. It is an extremely evil organization and is a nightmare in the hearts of many people. According to rumors, there are 36 messengers from the Hades in the Hades, and each messenger is a peak expert who has entered the realm of the ultimate saint, and is very powerful. There are even some powerful messengers from Hades who have already entered the quasi-emperor realm. You can call me Black Wind. The man said calmly, looking at Qin Yuning calmly. His deep eyes seemed to be able to see through everything. Black Wind Messenger. Qin Yuning was shocked. The Black Wind Messenger of Hades was one of the few unparalleled warriors who had entered the quasi-emperor realm. His strength was extremely terrifying and he had a lot of prestige in Hades. After Haifeng finished speaking, he ignored Qin Yuning and looked at Yi Bufan on the Bloody Lotus platform. It's been a long time since I've seen the ancient holy body that broke the shackles of heaven and earth. He broke 4 shackles of heaven and earth. This guy is pretty good. No wonder old man Qin is willing to lower his face and let me take action. Haifeng looked at Yi Bufan who fell into a coma, his eyes full of surprise. With that said, Haifeng used his soul power to explore Yi Bufan's situation. Master Haifeng, how about it, can you restore Yi Bufan's body? After Haifeng finished his investigation, Qin Yuning asked quickly. Haifeng nodded and said, of course. After saying that, Haifeng waved his right hand, and a black crystal containing the ultimate black aura flew out from Haifeng's hand and floated above Yi Bufan. Whoosh whoosh. Then, the black crystal released an extremely dense black mist, which rushed towards Yi Bufan very quickly. The Bloody Lotus platform under Yi Bufan was shattered by the terrifying impact in a moment. Countless black mist penetrated Yi Bufan's body, causing Yi Bufan's body to undergo strange changes. Okay, tell me about your holy son of the absolute beginning holy land. You can make the ancient holy body like this. This guy is quite interesting. Haifeng touched his chin and said to Qin Yuning next to him. 15 days later, Shungjifeng's room. The room was in a mess, as if it had been through a terrible battle. On the bed in the room, Yi Lingxi, whose face was pale and bloodless, seemed to be having a nightmare, murmuring softly. On the other side of the room, Lu Chen was sitting cross-legged on the bed, holding 2 holy crystals that exuded bright spiritual light in his hands. There are a lot of holy crystal fragments around him. Obviously, Lu Chen has absorbed a lot of holy crystal these days. Under the operation of Lu Chen's Immortal Sutra, the spiritual power of the holy crystal surged crazily towards Lu Chen's body. In Lu Chen's Dantian, there were already 8 golden Taoist palaces circling constantly, exuding an unusually mysterious aura. Whoosh whoosh. After a while, with the continuous influx of holy crystal spiritual power, the 9th Taoist palace was quickly formed in Lu Chen's body. Breakthrough. Tao Palace 9th Layer Heaven. Next, we must prepare to break through to the Saint Realm. Lu Chen slowly opened his eyes full of joy. In the past half-month, Lu Chen's progress has been rapid, and the improvement effect of Taiyan body has been maximized. After 10 days of practice, Lu Chen broke through to the 8th layer of the Tao Palace. Lu Chen did not rest, but relied on the power of the Saint Crystal to break through to the current Tao Palace realm 9th layer heaven, only one step away from the Saint realm. If you want to break through to the Saint realm, you need to condense your body into the body of a saint before you can carry the power of a saint. My foundation is too strong. It is very difficult to condense the body of a saint. It may take a lot of time. Lu Chen thought while getting familiar with his soaring power. To break through the saint realm, the first step is to gather the body of a saint. This is what any monk must do before becoming a saint. The time it takes to condense the body of a saint also varies from person to person. Some top geniuses can condense it in a few months, while some ordinary monks need 3 to 5 years, or even decades. Lu Chen's background is too strong, and he has practiced the Immortal Dao technique. The difficulty of condensation has also increased exponentially. Even with the help of the Holy Crystal, it still takes a lot of time. However, if I can get that thing, it may greatly shorten the time it takes me to condense the body of a saint. Suddenly, Lu Chen seemed to have thought of something, and his eyes flashed with excitement. Lu Chen remembered that there was a holy spirit pool in the Tianyang Mountains in the eastern region, which could help monks condense the body of a saint as quickly as possible. Originally, Lu Chen thought that it would take a lot of time for him to reach the peak of the Tao Palace realm, so he did not explore the situation of the Holy Spirit pool. In the original book, because the protagonist had already broken through to the Saint Realm at that time, there was not much description about the Holy Spirit pool. Now it seems that we need to let people investigate the situation of the Holy Spirit pool. Lu Chen suddenly made a decision in his heart, and was going to let the Shadow Guard go and investigate, so as to prepare himself to condense the body of a saint as soon as possible. Then, Lu Chen took out a communication talisman and sent an order to Shu Fu, asking him to carry out his order. If you wake up, get up. After the interrogation, Lu Chen was about to leave when he suddenly noticed something and then spoke calmly. No, I'm not awake, please leave. Yiling Shi, who was on the bed, quickly covered her head with a blanket and said softly. Chase Lu's mouth twitched slightly, and he quickly came to the bedside, lifted off the thin blanket, and pinched Yiling Shi's pale face. Lu Chen didn't say anything more, but held Yiling Shi's hand and slowly started operating the Phoenix Nirvana Sutra. Whoosh whoosh. With the operation of divine ability, the power of Nirvana penetrated into Yiling Shi's body, constantly repairing Yiling Shi's body. This sudden power of Nirvana caused Yiling Shi's body to slowly recover. 2 hours later, under the powerful Nirvana power of Lu Chen's Phoenix Nirvana Sutra, Yiling Shi's body finally recovered a lot, her dim eyes became lively again, and her pale face gained a lot of rosy color. Thank you Mr. Lu. Feeling that her body had recovered a lot, Yiling Shi whispered gratefully. It was clear that Lu Chen was the culprit. What's the use of verbal thanks? Is there any substance at all? Lu Chen lifted Yiling Shi's chin and said slowly. Master Lu, what kind of substantive thanks do you want? Yiling Shi looked at Lu Chen timidly and said pitifully. Lu Chen pondered for a moment and then said, practice with me for another month. Hearing Lu Chen's words, Yiling Shi's face turned pale. It's been like this for 10 days. If it's another month, it will definitely kill someone. Thinking of this, Yiling Shi didn't have time to think too much, and said in a trembling voice, no, really not, only 10 days, this is my limit. Lu Chen smiled slightly and then said, okay, deal. Yiling Shi was stunned, this big bad guy didn't even bargain. I won't be tricked, right? Yiling Shi felt a little weird, but she didn't find anything wrong. Yiling Shi whispered, however, my body has not recovered yet, so I have to take a good rest. I will help you practice after I have rested. Of course, I'm not a devil, I will give you a good rest. Lu Chen said slowly. Now, Lu Chen has reached the 9th layer of the Dao Palace realm. There is not much meaning in practicing with Yiling Shi. It is better to save it next time and wait until he breaks through the Saint realm. You are not the devil, who is the devil? Hearing Lu Chen's words, Yiling Shi murmured in her heart, but she didn't dare to say it out. Then, without saying anything else, Lu Chen took Yiling Shi to Lingquan to clean up. Master Lu, I'm going back to Zixia Peak to see if my brother has recovered. After some fun and cleaning, Yiling Shi put on a new long dress and said to Lu Chen. Lu Chen nodded, then go ahead. While practicing with Yiling Shi, Lu Chen already knew from Yiling Shi's mouth that Qin Yuning knew how to treat Yi Bufan. Lu Chen was not surprised. After all, he was the protagonist of destiny. It was just his meridians that were broken and he would not get cold so easily. Yiling Shi nodded, and then walked out with a somewhat frivolous pace. That guy Qin Yuning could have stopped your brother from fighting with me, but he didn't stop him. After your brother had physical problems, he abandoned you brothers and sisters. Don't you want to take revenge on that BCH? Just when Yiling Shi turned around and left, Lu Chen's indifferent voice sounded in her ears. Yiling Shi's steps froze and stopped in place, with a look of struggle on her face. If you want to take revenge on her, just open this bag. Lu Chen continued. After speaking, Lu Chen threw out a tips bag and flew into Yiling Shi's hands. Yiling Shi didn't say anything more, but silently put the kit into the corner of her space ring and left Lingquan. His Royal Highness the Holy Sun, do you think this little girl will help His Royal Highness the Holy Sun deal with Qin Yuning? After Yiling Shi left, Yinger, with a hot figure and stunning beauty, entered Lingquan and fell into Lu Chen's arms. I don't know either. Lu Chen looked at the direction Yiling Shi was leaving and said slowly. I don't know. That little girl was so conquered by His Highness the Holy Sun. Yinger didn't understand and said in confusion. Conquered. I was just conquered while practicing. Even though that girl is stupid and looks easy to bully, she also has her own persistence. Lu Chen shook his head, and then said slowly. My own persistence. Yinger's eyes flashed with a hint of brilliance, and she nodded in understanding. Since Yi Lingxi is not sure, do you want us to help her and let her completely? Yinger continued to ask. Yinger knew that because of what happened before, Lu Chen had no patience with Qin Yuning and was ready to attack him. If Yi Lingxi is wavering now, she can take some measures to help. No need, Yi Lingxi is just a casual move, useful or useless. Lu Chen rejected Yinger's proposal, a cold and cruel look flashed in his eyes, and continued, as for Qin Yuning, I have 10,000 ways to deal with her. Yinger nodded. Yinger absolutely trusted Lu Chen's words. Lu Chen said there are 10,000 ways, so there are 10,000 ways, even if the person he has to deal with is the elder of the absolute beginning Holy Land, a member of the Emperor clan of the Central Region. By the way, Your Highness the Holy Sun, when His Highness was in retreat, Fairy Yuchen asked the Saintess Peak to come to our Saint Child Peak to invite His Highness the Holy Sun to discuss the Tao. Yinger seemed to have thought of something, and then said slowly. Lu Chen's mouth twitched slightly. Is that girl so impatient? The shadow next to him then said faintly, His Royal Highness the Holy Sun, during the competition between the disciples, His Highness the Holy Sun seems to have promised that after the competition is over. It seems so. Lu Chen's heart froze. He remembered that such a thing did exist. Then let's go and take a look. During the disciple competition, Zhang Yuchen stood beside him many times. Although Lu Chen didn't need it, it still made Lu Chen feel a lot of gratitude. Moreover, Zhang Yuchen herself is an extremely outstanding woman and has already entered the realm of saints. Lu Chen doesn't mind talking about Taoism with her. Zixia Peak is a spiritual land full of spiritual power. In the center of the spiritual land, Yi Bufan's body floats in the air. Above, black crystals continuously release black mist, flowing towards Yi Bufan's body. After half a month of black mist washing away, the shattered meridians in Yi Bufan's body had been completely reshaped. However, the originally golden meridians were now filled with traces of black evil energy, making them look extremely sinister. Yi Bufan's delicate face also had a hint of evil intent. Beside Ling Di, Haifeng and Qin Yuning both looked straight at Yi Bufan in front of them. Crack. 2 hours later, the power of the black crystal in the sky was finally completely absorbed. Countless black mist quickly enveloped Yi Bufan's body, speeding up the healing of Yi Bufan's body, which had restored its meridians. Finally recovered. As expected of the ancient holy body, it actually absorbed 3 evil ancestor Zon crystals to completely repair the meridians. Haifeng looked at Yi Bufan, who was recovering rapidly, and said lightly, with a hint of surprise in his eyes. That black crystal is the evil ancestor Zon crystal. The Zon crystal contains the power of the supreme evil ancestor. It is an immeasurable treasure to the people in the underworld. Next, just wait for him to wake up. Qin Yuning asked next to him, his eyes still attracted by Yi Bufan. She could feel that the meridians in Yi Bufan's body had completely recovered, and there was an unusually terrifying aura. Haifeng nodded and said slowly, yes, just wait until he fully recovers. Master, is my brother okay? At this time, Yi Lingxi, who was dressed in a purple dress and looked pure and beautiful, walked in from outside the spiritual place and asked with a worried look on her face. Qin Yuning looked calmly and said to the innocent girl, yeah, it's okay. Lingxi doesn't have to worry, Master Haifeng is here for everything. After hearing Qin Yuning's words, Yi Lingxi's nervous heart slowly calmed down. Although she knew that Qin Yuning would find someone to treat her brother, Yi Lingxi still had no confidence. After all, Yi Bufan's injury was too serious. Thank you Lord Haifeng. Yi Lingxi looked at the man in black robe not far away and said gratefully. Haifeng glanced at Yi Lingxi and didn't pay much attention to Yi Lingxi. Yi Lingxi didn't care, and looked straight at Yi Bufan in front of him. Then, Yi Lingxi used her spiritual sense to explore Yi Bufan's situation. How could it be, brother, his body? After some exploration, Yi Lingxi's face became extremely pale and her body trembled slightly. She clearly felt that her brother's body was filled with evil aura, and even his soul seemed to be contaminated by the unfamiliar evil aura. These auras are, from the evil spirit clan. My brother was invaded by the aura of evil spirits. Soon, Yi Lingxi realized something. Her face became even more ugly, her fists were clenched, and tears were flowing in her eyes. Yi Lingxi is no stranger to the dark race, the evil spirit clan. She and Yi Bufan were adopted by a top family when they were young, and they were originally very happy. However, those guys from the evil spirit tribe passed by their family and wiped out all the other members of their family. Yi Lingxi and Yi Bufan both hate the evil spirit clan extremely, and both sides have irresolvable hatred. Yi Lingxi couldn't accept that her brother was invaded by the power of the evil spirit clan. The power of the evil spirit tribe cannot be absorbed casually. It has a very powerful appeal and will assimilate the monks into the evil spirit tribe members. Qin Yuning next to him said matter-of-factly, as if he didn't care about this, of course, your brother has absorbed the power of the evil spirit clan's supreme being, the evil ancestor, and must have the aura of the evil spirit clan. No, brother can't absorb the power of the evil spirit clan, no. Yi Lingxi gritted her teeth, then activated her power and rushed towards Yi Bufan, hoping to expel the evil spirit power from Yi Bufan's body. What are you doing? Your brother recovered with great difficulty. Qin Yuning used the power of a saint to suppress Yi Lingxi, who was about to go berserk, and said displeased. No, brother can't absorb this power. Yi Lingxi bit her lip and frantically used her strength to resist all this. Qin Yuning struck a powerful spiritual impact, causing Yi Lingxi to faint. Come here, Lingxi is tired, take her down to rest. Then, Qin Yuning asked a maid from Zixia Peak to take Yi Lingxi away, who fainted. After Yi Lingxi left, only Qin Yuning, Haifeng, and Yi Bufan were left in this spiritual place. By the way, the power of the holy body and the power of the evil ancestor should be in conflict with each other, right? Is it really okay for Yi Bufan to act like this? After a while, Qin Yuning seemed to have thought of something, slowly raised his head and asked doubtfully. The ancient holy body is a top-notch super physique and has great restraint against dark races. This is true even for the top evil races among the dark races, such as the evil spirit race. The ancient holy body of the past also killed many dark races and became famous throughout the divine world. Restraint. Maybe, but restraint is never absolute. The extreme power of the holy body and the power of the evil ancestor may not be incompatible. Looking at Yi Bufan, who was undergoing an unknown transformation, Haifeng said meaningfully. I'm also very curious about what changes will happen to this holy body boy after he merges with the power of the evil ancestor. At night, in an exquisite room at Zixia Peak, Yi Lingxi, who was lying on the bed, slowly opened her eyes. The tears in her eyes could no longer stop and flowed down. Master, why do you want my brother to fuse the power of the evil spirit clan? That is the evil spirit clan. Yi Lingxi felt extremely sad and felt endless confusion. Yi Lingxi absolutely hated the evil spirit clan. She could not accept the fact that her brother had merged with the power of the evil spirit clan. After an unknown amount of time, Yi Lingxi slowly stood up from the bed, opened her clenched fists, and a kid appeared in her delicate palms. Saint Virgin's Peak, among the luxurious palaces. Lu Chen and Zhang Yuchen sat opposite each other, with happy smiles on their faces. Young Master Lu is indeed a genius. I have gained a lot from my discussion these days. Yu Chan thanks Mr. Lu again. Zhang Yuchen stood up from the jade futon and gave Lu Chen a slight bow. Her posture was extremely seductive. At this time, Zhang Yuchen was wearing a purple splendid fairy dress. She was gentle and generous, and her movements carried an incomparable noble temperament. Looking at the peerless beauty in front of him, Lu Chen nodded slightly and said softly, it's just about helping each other. I also benefited a lot from Miss Yuchen's breakthrough experience. After Yinger helped Lu Chen clean up, Lu Chen came to Saints' Peak to discuss the Dao with Zhang Yuchen, and at the same time helped Zhang Yuchen with her second intake of the essence of the fairy spirit. After 7 days of ingestion, Lu Chen's dantian was condensed with 10 more strands of fairy spirit source energy exuding a mysterious aura. Moreover, the discussion between the two was also very pleasant. After all, Zhang Yuchen is the princess of the Emperor clan and knows many secrets of the divine world. In addition, she has already entered the realm of saints, and her own understanding and talent are also top-notch. When Lu Chen discussed Dao with him, he also gained a lot and got a lot of benefits. The hidden dangers of continuous breakthroughs during these times have also been completely eliminated, and the foundation has become much more solid. More importantly, Zhang Yuchen talked a lot about her many insights on breaking through from the peak of the Taoist palace to the Saint Realm, which opened Lu Chen's eyes and made him clear about the road ahead. The two looked at each other and smiled, and continued to drink wine and food in the palace. The atmosphere was extremely harmonious. After the banquet, Lu Chen said goodbye to Zhang Yuchen. He had many other things to do. Although Zhang Yuchen was very reluctant to say goodbye and wanted to stay with Lu Chen for a while, she still suppressed her emotions and said goodbye to Lu Chen. Your Highness the Saint, you don't really like Your Highness the Sun, do you? I have never seen you so relaxed and happy in front of others. In front of the palace entrance, Yunur looked at Zhang Yuchen, who was still watching Lu Chen and had not yet recovered, and said with a smile. Yunur has been by Zhang Yuchen's side since she was a child. Because of Zhang Yuchen's special identity, Zhang Yuchen has been a star among the stars since she was born, and is a peerless treasure held in the hands of countless people. After he entered the path of cultivation and showed his terrifying talent and perfect appearance, countless geniuses secretly expressed their love for him. It can be said that in the Central Territory, the number of Tianzhou monks who are enamored with Zhang Yuchen can fill the entire absolute beginning Holy Land. Among them are some descendants of the Supreme, disciples of the imperial family, top holy places, and super geniuses of the Taiku family. However, despite the crazy pursuit of those geniuses, Zhang Yuchen showed no pretense towards them and had no interest in them. Now, in the Holy Land of Absolute Beginning, Lu Chen is in such a situation, which is unprecedented. Like. Zhang Yuchen frowned slightly, seeming to be thinking about something. Yunur looked at Zhang Yuchen expectantly, wanting to see how Zhang Yuchen would answer. After a while, Zhang Yuchen let out a breath of turbid air. Maybe, I don't know, but Mr. Lu is indeed the person I have met with whom I get along with the most harmoniously. That's it. Hearing Zhang Yuchen's answer, Yunur's mouth twitched slightly. This answer was really very Fairy Yuchen style. By the way, what happened when Mr. Lu Chen was helping Her Majesty the Saint heal her wounds in the secret room? Why did I seem to hear some strange noises? Yunur thought of something next and quickly asked Zhang Yuchen. After Yunur finished speaking, some strange pictures appeared in Zhang Yuchen's mind. This has nothing to do with you, don't ask nonsense. Zhang Yuchen bit her red lips and said, her perfect and charming face was so red that it was dripping with water, and her pure eyes were full of panic and shyness. Then, Zhang Yuchen quickly suppressed her thoughts and ignored the stunned Yunur behind her. It's over, Her Royal Highness the Saint has really fallen. If those geniuses in the central region know that Her Highness the Saint has, I'm afraid they will go completely crazy. Looking at Zhang Yuchen running away shyly, Yunur murmured in a low voice. Your Highness the Holy Sun, Yilingshi has agreed to work together to design a plan to deal with Qin Yuning. In the spiritual spring of Shengji Peak, Yinger helped Lu Chen massage his shoulders while reporting the report. Oh. Did she agree? Then there is no need to use more resources. Hearing Yinger's words, Lu Chen's heart moved, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. Originally, Yilingshi never responded, and Chase Lu thought that Yilingshi did not want to retaliate against Qin Yuning. Lu Chen also prepared other means to teach Qin Yuning a lesson. Unexpectedly, Yilingshi suddenly agreed again. Lu Chen pondered for a moment, and then said to Yinger, since she agreed, let's act according to the previous plan. Yinger nodded in agreement. Yes, Your Highness the Holy Sun. How is the exploration of the Holy Spirit pool in the Tianyang Mountains going? Is there anything abnormal? After finalizing the plan to deal with Qin Yuning, Lu Chen continued to ask. After discussing Taoism with Zhang Yuchen at Saintis Peak, the realm of Lu Chen Taoist Palace 9th layer heaven has been completely stabilized. You can start to gather the body of a saint to attack the saint realm. Your Highness the Holy Sun, we have found out clearly that the Holy Spirit pool is indeed in the Tianyang Mountains. I have marked the location of the Holy Spirit pool on the map. Yinger took out a map from the space ring, handed it to Lu Chen, and said slowly. Lu Chen took the map, opened it and looked at it. It was discovered that this map has detailed information about various areas of the Tianyang Mountains, including what ferocious beasts are in each place, which places have traps, which places may contain natural materials and treasures. All kinds of information are marked in very detail. The location of the Holy Spirit pool is also marked on it, which is very eye-catching. Obviously, Yinger worked hard for this matter. Thanks a lot. Lu Chen touched Yinger's face and said softly. Yinger's eyes were full of affection, and then she said in a clear voice, "It is Yinger's honor to work for His Royal Highness the Holy Sun." Yinger on the side seemed to have thought of something and continued, "Your Highness the Holy Sun, there seems to be a lot of strange monks gathered in the Tianyang Mountains recently. Do you need to go to the Tianyang Mountains again after a while?" While investigating relevant information, Yinger and many shadow guards discovered that many monks had gathered in the Tianyang Mountains. Moreover, these monks are all unfamiliar faces and are quite powerful. Although the Tianyang mountain range is a spiritual land with many natural and earthly treasures, it is nothing to those top monks. Generally speaking, there were relatively few unfamiliar faces entering the Tianyang Mountains, so Yinger noticed them. No need, I am determined to win the Holy Spirit pool. It has not been exposed yet. It is impossible for a very powerful monk to go there. I can easily deal with ordinary crises. Lu Chen shook his head and rejected Yinger's proposal. Lu Chen has now reached the peak of the Dao Palace realm, and the breakthrough is just around the corner. Naturally, Lu Chen will not waste time. Moreover, Lu Chen's strength has improved a lot during this period, and he still has many trump cards. Even if you meet a peak expert in the realm of the great sage, you are sure to escape. Naturally, you will not be afraid of the small Tianyang Mountains. Besides, even those who are really strong in the top realm would not go to the small Tianyang Mountains. His Royal Highness the Holy Sun will definitely win here, but Yinger is worrying too much. Yinger said quickly. Lu Chen lifted Yinger's chin and said, "It's okay, but you need to execute the plan to deal with Qin Yuning." Originally, Lu Chen planned to participate in the plan to deal with Qin Yuning himself. However, now that a breakthrough is imminent, Lu Chen doesn't want to waste too much time. Although Qin Yuning is also important, it is far less important than his own improvement in strength. Lu Chen naturally would not put the cart before the horse. Yinger raised her head, her eyes were firm, and she vowed, "Don't worry, I will definitely complete it successfully." "Well, I believe you can do it." Lu Chen pondered for a moment and continued, "If my trip goes well, I should be able to make it in time for the last step. By the way, there are some spiritual objects in these places in the eastern region. You can ask the shadow guards to collect them. It may be of great benefit to you." Lu Chen then told Yinger some opportunities that he had sorted out that he would never use, and asked Yinger to send someone to collect them. After hearing what Lu Chen said about the locations of many opportunities, as well as some hidden spiritual realms, Yinger's heart was filled with surprise, and she became even more in awe of Lu Chen. Yinger wrote them down one by one, and then perfected the plan to deal with Qin Yuning with Lu Chen. After everything was ready, Lu Chen planned to go to the Tianyang Mountains to find the Holy Spirit pool to condense the body of a saint. However, Lu Chen decided to visit his little apprentice again. Lu Chen was busy practicing and did not fulfill his duties as a master. Now, as he is about to leave the Holy Land, Lu Chen plans to teach his little apprentice. Then, Lu Chen quickly came to the room of his chief apprentice Chu Bingyan. "If you have any questions, please ask them and I will help you solve them. After solving them, I will leave the absolute beginning Holy Land for a while." Looking at Chu Bingyan who was practicing hard, Lu Chen said slowly. "Master, do you want to leave the Holy Land and go play outside?" "I want to go too." Chu Bingyan didn't hear the first half of what Lu Chen said clearly. Instead, she grabbed the key word of leaving the Holy Land and quickly hugged Lu Chen's arm tightly, her face full of anticipation. Lu Chen's mouth twitched slightly, and he pinched Chu Bingyan's cheek. "I have important things to do as a teacher. You should practice well at St. Child Peak." Chu Bingyan looked straight at Lu Chen with her big, pure eyes, and said pitifully, "Ah, master, I have been practicing for a long time." "Humph, you have only been practicing for so little time and you have slacked off. How can you become a peerless powerhouse like this?" Lu Chen snorted softly, hating the fact that iron cannot become steel. Seeing that Lu Chen seemed a little angry, Chu Bingyan did not dare to say anything more, but just hugged Lu Chen's arm tightly. Lu Chen decided to give this reincarnation of the ice ancestor a good warning, and then said in a serious tone, If I find that you have not practiced well after you come back, I will teach you a lesson. As he said that, Lu Chen looked at Chu Bingyan's straight face, his face extremely solemn. Chu Bingyan was stunned when she heard this. She seemed to have thought of something and her body was trembling slightly. Looking at Chu Bingyan, who seemed a little scared, Lu Chen felt something in his heart. It seemed that he still had some deterrence. After a while, Chu Bingyan asked with anticipation and fear in her eyes, "Is the lesson like the last time?" Lu Chen. "Anyway, you should practice well for me." Looking at the little apprentice who seemed to be a little strange, Lu Chen flicked Chu Bingyan's forehead and said seriously. Chu Bingyan covered her forehead and said aggrievedly, "Master, I understand, I will practice well." Then, Chu Bingyan raised some cultivation issues, and Lu Chen solved them for her one by one. After that, Lu Chen prepared everything and left the absolute beginning Holy Land. Lessons, master's lessons. Looking at Lu Chen leaving, Chu Bingyan's eyes were full of eyes, as if full of expectation. The spiritual power outside the Holy Land is indeed incomparable to that inside the absolute beginning Holy Land. A high altitude outside the absolute beginning Holy Land, Lu Chen was riding a flying boat, feeling the thin spiritual power of heaven and earth around him, and said slowly. The Eastern Territory is located in the eastern region of the Divine Desolate Realm, and the spiritual accumulation here is not as good as that of the extremely prosperous top territories like the Central Territory. In addition, there are many sects in the eastern region, and many forces coexist. These top forces all occupy top spiritual lands, not to mention that all major forces basically have top-level spirit gathering arrays to absorb the spiritual energy of the surrounding world. As a result, in other areas except those top forces, the spiritual power of heaven and earth has become increasingly thin. At this speed, it should only take 7 hours to reach the Tianyang Mountains. Lu Chen sensed the speed of the flying boat and guessed the time it would take to arrive at the Tianyang Mountains. "Zhao Hong, please protect me next, I'm going to take a rest." Lu Chen then called out his ancient phoenix Xiao Hong. Since the Holy Spirit pool was of great importance, Lu Chen did not bring any manpower, but only his own spiritual pet Xiao Hong. Chi chi chi. Zhao Hong nodded on Lu Chen's shoulder like a chicken pecking at rice. Zhao Hong has been at Saint Child Peak for a long time, and her intelligence is already quite high. Apart from not being able to speak human language, her intelligence is basically the same as that of humans. Lu Chen stretched and walked slowly towards Feizhou's room. Whoosh whoosh. At this moment, huge black clouds surged into the sky in the distance. The majestic black cloud quickly surrounded Lu Chen's airship like an overwhelming wave. Huh. Someone wants to deal with me. Lu Chen slowly raised his head and looked calmly at the black clouds that were constantly rolling around him. These black clouds firmly blocked the airspace around the flying boat, and their target was obviously Lu Chen. Who wants to deal with me? I should be low-key enough. Lu Chen's eyes narrowed slightly and he murmured in a low voice. Since arriving in this world, Lu Chen has not taken action against anyone else except Yi Bufan. Even leaving the Holy Land was the first time. Lu Chen really couldn't think of anyone who would deal with him. Lu Chen wondered in his mind, is it because of Yi Bufan? Jihieji, Lu Chen, you are finally out, we have been waiting for you for a long time. At this time, a cold and hoarse voice sounded. In the surrounding black mist, a group of monks wearing black robes passed through the mist and appeared in front of Lu Chen's flying boat. These monks wore masks with mysterious ghost faces, looked sinister, and exuded an extremely evil aura. They stared at Lu Chen with unkind eyes. Are you from Hades? Seeing the iconic mask, Lu Chen immediately realized that these guys were people from the underworld. Hades is the top force in the Divine Desolate World. However, unlike other forces in the Divine Desolate World, Hades has collusion with the dark races. It can be said to be the secret and bridge for many dark races to stay in the Divine Desolate World. Moreover, these people all exude the faint power of saints. Obviously, they are all top experts in the realm of saints, and there are more than 30 of them. Huh. It's interesting, a little Taoist palace ant can actually recognize our identity. The gray-haired man in the lead said in a hoarse voice, looking at Lu Chen with surprise in his eyes. Although Hades has a prominent reputation in the world of gods, there are very few people who can truly recognize the identities of Hades monks. After all, Hades is an extremely evil force and has done a very good job of keeping itself safe and hidden. I was actually targeted by people from Hades. Lu Chen's eyes narrowed slightly, and he didn't understand why the people in the underworld wanted to deal with him. Lu Chen said calmly, "Why are you looking for me? I shouldn't have any contact with you." In the original work, the current Lu Chen does not show anything that attracts Hades. This has nothing to do with you. Just surrender and capture him. This way you will suffer less pain. The leading gray-haired monk said coldly, not caring about Lu Chen's doubts at all. It seems that we still have to use violence to solve the problem. Lu Chen shook his head, a cold light flashed in his eyes. Zhao Hong, come on. Then, Lu Chen immediately asked Xiao Hong on the flying boat to deal with these guys. Li. After receiving Lu Chen's order, Xiao Hong immediately transformed into a flaming phoenix and charged towards the many Hades monks around her. Hu ho ho. The terrifying phoenix flames were like the divine fire that burned the sky and boiled the sea, constantly surging to the surroundings, and the temperature of the entire space suddenly increased a lot. Phoenix, how is it possible? How can a little saint from the eastern region have the phoenix beast? The surrounding Hades monks saw the terrifying flames around them, their hairs stood on end, and they said in great fear. Many Hades monks discovered the terror of the phoenix flames and immediately wanted to avoid it. However, Zhao Hong's flames were so terrifying, containing extreme temperature, that they covered a large area in just a moment. Nearly half of the Hades monks were quickly burned to ashes by the terrifying flames, without any life left. Everyone, be careful, this should be the legendary ancient phoenix. The gray-haired monk at the head realized how scary Xiao Hong was and roared angrily. Then, he immediately organized the remaining monks and started a fierce battle with Xiao Hong. After taking precautions, the remaining monks were slowly able to compete with Xiao Hong, and inspiration and explosions continued to sound. Brothers, hold on, I'm going to catch that guy Chen Lu first. After the Chen Lu is crippled, this dead phoenix will no longer be a threat. Seeing that the situation had been temporarily stabilized, the gray-haired monk quickly spoke to the remaining sect members. After saying that, the gray-haired monk immediately rushed towards Lu Chen who was not far away, trying to catch Lu Chen first. Well, where are the people? When the gray-haired monk was rushing towards Lu Chen, he suddenly discovered that there was no trace of Lu Chen on the flying boat. Run away, I actually let him run away. I lost so many men this time and the mission has not been completed. If the messenger knows. The gray-haired monk's face turned extremely ugly and he murmured in a low voice. Huh. Lord Messenger, which messenger from Hades wants to deal with me? At this time, an indifferent voice came to the gray-haired monk's ears again. Then, the space in front of him was distorted, and Lu Chen, holding the 7-star Longyuan sword, appeared from the distorted space. Little b********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************* Ah, that's great. Seeing Lu Chen reappearing, the gray-haired monk turned from worry to joy and laughed quickly. Then, the gray-haired monk once again showed all his strength and charged towards Lu Chen, hoping to suppress Lu Chen in one fell swoop. Boom. However, before the gray-haired monk's power came close to Lu Chen, he felt that the surrounding space seemed to be imprisoned, and the spiritual power in his body seemed to be blocked by an inexplicable force, making the gray-haired monk completely unable to move. Lu Chen moved not far away, and his figure quickly flashed in front of the gray-haired monk. You, what did you do? Seeing Lu Chen flashing in front of him, the gray-haired monk's heart sank and he felt an indescribable fear. Lu Chen did not speak, but raised the 7-star Longyuan sword and stabbed straight towards the gray-haired monk's dantian. The 7-star Longyuan sword with the Tai sword intention was like a divine light that tore through everything. It tore apart the saint's power around the gray-haired monk extremely swiftly and easily penetrated the extremely powerful saint's body. Ah! No, no, don't. The pain caused by piercing the body's dantian made the gray-haired monk let out a heart-rending scream. Saint 9th layer heaven, nothing more than that. Seeing that his 7-star Longyuan sword easily penetrated the gray-haired monk's body, Lu Chen's eyes lit up and he whispered softly. The power of the void ancient ring was so terrifying that it left the 9th layer heaven's pinnacle saint, who surpassed Lu Chen by a large margin, without any counterattack. Coupled with the quasi-emperor weapon 7-star Longyuan sword, it can easily crush the enemy. No, what methods did you use? Why? Why can an ant like you do this? Why? Feeling his body's energy flowing away, the gray-haired monk roared angrily. He didn't understand why a small Dao Palace monk could suppress him so easily, so that his saint's power and saint's body had no effect, as if they were made of paper. He is the pinnacle saint of the 9th layer heaven, and Lu Chen is obviously just an ant that can be destroyed easily. This has nothing to do with you. Tell me which envoy is trying to arrest me. If you cooperate well, you can suffer less pain. Lu Chen looked at the gray-haired monk in front of him calmly. You. Hearing this seemingly familiar threat, the gray-haired man's face became extremely gloomy. This was obviously something he had used to threaten Lu Chen just now, but now in a short period of time, it was him who threatened him. The gray-haired monk gritted his teeth and said coldly, "Don't expect to get any news from me." Lu Chen said calmly, "Oh, I hope you can be as strong-willed later. Death is never the most terrifying thing." Whoa whoa whoa. After speaking, Lu Chen used his immense mental power to surge towards the gray-haired monk's sea of consciousness. Lu Chen's mental power has already reached the holy level. In addition, Lu Chen has fused the fairy spirit source energy, and his soul is also contaminated with the fairy spirit energy. The soul strength is extremely powerful and contains extraordinary power. Under the full force of the impact, the gray-haired monk could not bear it at all and let out an extremely sharp scream. Lu Chen then activated the power of the 7-star Longyuan sword that penetrated the gray-haired monk's dantian. The extremely violent Tai sword intention was accompanied by an extremely terrifying aura of destruction, tearing apart the gray-haired monk's body. The double tearing of soul and body caused the gray-haired monk to endure the pain of almost falling into endless hell. Many Hades monks who were fighting fiercely with Xiao Hong not far away heard the screams of the gray-haired monks, and their expressions changed drastically. They also realized that this mission was probably a failure, and they rushed towards the distance, preparing to leave here. However, the surrounding space has been blocked by Lu Chen's ancient void ring, and there is no way to escape. Moreover, because they all wanted to leave, the formation they had just assembled was completely disrupted, and they were completely unable to withstand Xiao Hong's terrifying flame impact. Many Hades monks were defeated one by Xiao Hong and turned into ashes. I said, stop it, kill me, I said it all. After half a quarter of an hour, the gray-haired monk finally couldn't bear the torture anymore and begged for mercy tremblingly. It would have been fine if it had been like this, why bother suffering for so long? Lu Chen shook his head slightly and said slowly. However, Lu Chen also stopped torturing this 9th layer monk, the saint of Hades. After all, he still needed to know from this guy's mouth which messenger of Hades was eyeing him. Lu Chen asked, "Tell me, who wants to deal with me?" The gray-haired monk quickly said, "It's Haifeng, Master Haifeng. Master Haifeng wants to catch you. The messenger of the black wind in the underworld." Lu Chen narrowed his eyes slightly. Lu Chen was no stranger to the black wind messenger of Hades. In the novel, Black Wind was an extremely powerful messenger of Hades with amazing methods, moodiness, and ruthlessness. He even entered the Supreme Realm later and became a Lord-level character in Hades. Lu Chen continued to ask, "I have no enmity with him, why would he deal with me?" Lord Blackwind was treating Yi Bufan, the ancient holy body, at the absolute beginning Holy Land. He knew that Mr. Lu defeated Yi Bufan several times and became very interested in Mr. Lu. He wanted to capture Mr. Lu and go back to study. Research. The gray-haired monk continued, telling Lu Chen everything as if pouring beans. He also told Lu Chen his identity. The gray-haired monk was named Zhao Chuan, and he was Blackwind's right-hand man. He was treating Yi Bufan and became interested in me. Lu Chen's heart sank. It was really not a good thing to be targeted by a messenger-level figure from the underworld. Not to mention, Haifeng is still at the top of the list and has entered the pinnacle of the quasi-emperor realm. Although Lu Chen now has many trump cards, after all, he has not fully grown up yet. It is still very difficult to face such terrifying and invincible powerhouses. If Haifeng takes action to treat Yi Bufan, the variables will be really big. As expected of a destined protagonist, he could actually induce the top messengers of Hades to take action. Lu Chen once again had a new understanding of the destiny of the protagonist. Originally, Lu Chen thought that Qin Yuning would find someone to treat Yi Bufan, which would at least keep Yi Bufan quiet for a few months, allowing him to stay far away from Yi Bufan, leaving him without any chance to turn around. However, Black Wind took action, and Yi Bufan's future changed again. Lu Chen will not underestimate the top Black Wind messenger in Hades. However, Yi Bufan is not in a hurry yet. He should first deal with the threat of Black Wind. In a short period of time, Lu Chen had many thoughts in his mind. By the way, if you want to deal with Black Wind, maybe you can start with that guy. Suddenly, a wonderful idea flashed in Lu Chen's mind. Kill me, don't torture me, please. After Zhao Chuan finished speaking, he said tremblingly, his eyes full of fear. The double torture of body and soul just now really scared Zhao Chuan, fearing that Lu Chen would continue to torture him later. Do you want to live? Lu Chen then looked at Zhao Chuan next to him and said calmly. Zhao Chuan looked helpless and begged, if you don't want to, please kill me. It's too painful. Please, I just want to die happily now. Lu Chen's eyes narrowed, and the 7-star Longyuan sword in his hand released the Tai sword intent that ripped apart everything, tearing Zhao Chuan's body again. Zhao Chuan was about to cry but had no tears, so he hurriedly said tremblingly, no, I want to live, I want to live. Lu Chen nodded with satisfaction and stopped releasing the violent Tai sword intent. As long as you complete what I told you, your life is still your own. Maybe you won't have the chance to be promoted to the underworld general. Lu Chen's eyes flashed with a cold light, and then he said slowly. After hearing Lu Chen's words, Zhao Chuan's heart froze, and he looked at Lu Chen in front of him in confusion, obviously not believing what Lu Chen said at all. She was torturing him so hard just now, and now she says that if she helps him with things, she can be promoted to the general of the underworld. Who would believe this? Zhao Chuan quickly said in a deep voice, Master Lu, please give me your instructions, but it will be useful. Zhao Chuan is obliged to do so. Underworld is the mainstay of Hades. It can be regarded as stepping into the core of Hades. It can gain the power of the Lord of Hades and gain the power of semi-immortality. However, if you want to become an underworld general, you not only need top-level strength and deep qualifications, but also the full support of the underworld messenger. Therefore, it is very difficult for these peripheral personnel of Hades to become a general of Hades. Whenever there is a chance, Zhao Chuan does not want to miss it. It is the power of semi-immortality, a power that countless people at the bottom of the underworld long for but cannot obtain. Hearing Zhao Chuan's answer, Lu Chen nodded and said, there must be a blood fiend messenger in your underworld. Zhao Chuan answered honestly, yes, the blood fiend messenger is the top 3 super strong among our Hades messengers, and his strength is extremely powerful. Lu Chen then whispered in Zhao Chuan's ear, all you need is this. Lu, what Mr. Lu said is true. After hearing Lu Chen's words, Zhao Chuan froze on the spot as if he was petrified, looking at Lu Chen in disbelief. If what Lu Chen said is true, then maybe it is not impossible to be promoted to the underworld general. Thanks for watching.